Happy Wednesday! I am your host, Priscilla Moy, and you are watching the Hot Seat live in real time at Social Media Shows Studio. We are located in Las Vegas, the biggest entertainment city in the country and world, depending on how you view Las Vegas. And every week we bring some amazing guests that sits right here in the hot seat, no pun intended, and we share their stories, their journeys, their motivations, and what they do and how they're contributing to society in Las Vegas and worldwide. So as always, we bring amazing people here every week. It's always a surprise to our viewers because we do not only stick to the world of entertainment, but we're now branching out into entrepreneurs, magicians, comedians, performers, but also politics. And so it's going to be absolutely amazing because we have great surprises for you today. When we come back, we're going to have our first guest here who's also going to be a performer. So I know we haven't had a lot of our performers perform in a really long time, but we're going to have some musical treats for you, along with a great politician that's going to be sitting right here who is running for Congress. So make sure you grab your drinks, grab your snacks. It's going to be a very, very, very juicy and fun-filled episode with lots of amazing information and great stories and making you aware of the people here in Nevada. So I will see you guys after the break.
Hi, I'm Deacon T with Modern Word Ministries. It's great to be with you today. Just a short little promo for our show. Every Sunday morning we have service, and you can follow us at 10 a.m. Pacific Time on modernwordministries.org. And if you missed us or you want to see some of our older messages, go ahead and check us out on socialmediashows.com every single morning at 9 a.m. It's a great way to kick off your day, get a little bit of the word in you, get something uplifting, get you started off on your way. You know, if you're looking for prayer or you need some help, reach out to us. If you go to our website, again, that's Modern Word Ministries. Hi, I'm Deacon T with Modern Word Ministries. It's great to be with you today. Just a short little promo for our show. Every Sunday morning we have service, and you can follow us at 10 a.m. Pacific Time on modernwordministries.org. And if you missed us or you want to see some of our older messages, go ahead and check us out on socialmediashows.com every single morning at 9 a.m. It's a great way to kick off your day, get a little bit of the word in you, get something uplifting, get you started off on your way. You know, if you're looking for prayer or you need some help, reach out to us. If you go to our website, again, that's modernwordministries.org, you can interact with me via telephone, via DM, text message, whatever you want. I'll get right back to you. So if you need prayer, you need help, you just need somebody to talk to, Modern Word Ministries is here for you. We are your church in the community. So until you see you next time, be blessed, everybody. Bye-bye.
Hi guys, and welcome back to the Hot Seat. I am your host, Priscilla Moy, and we are live here at the Social Media Show Studio. As promised, we always jump right into our amazing episode. It's going to be a juicy one today, and we're going to start off with a guitarist. He has an amazing resume. He's traveled all over the world performing while also working a corporate job and being an amazing businessman. So everyone, please welcome Tony Pereira. Hello, Tony. Welcome to the show. Nice to meet you. Take a seat. Thank you for having your time here on Wednesday to sit here and talk to me about your amazing life.
Well, thank you for the invitation.
Of course.
I always like to talk about myself.
I've seen a couple of your interviews, and it does seem like he does. So, first and foremost, you are an East Coaster. You're from New Jersey.
I am.
Correct.
Born and raised.
Born and raised, and you have lived your life of business. You know, you've studied and you've worked actually a corporate job, Accenture being one of them, while also playing the guitar since, when was it, 69?
Yes, 1969, right?
Okay, right. So tell me a little bit about that. So you basically have played guitar your whole life, but never really going for a career as just a straight guitarist, correct? Because
Correct.
I know that you still had that. So what was that like for you, and why did you keep guitar on the side while pursuing corporate work?
So, you know, if we go back, at least to 1969 when we started playing, I mean, I always loved to play. So, my parents were, encouraging me quite a bit. Between my father bringing home records, my mother playing the radio, and doing a bunch of different things. So where we went on this one is that, it's a tough way to make a living, but I still enjoyed playing the guitar. And what I did was I made sure I studied with the best. So I studied with Sal Salvador, who was with Stan Kenton. I studied with High White, who was with the CBS Orchestra. I played whenever I could play. I was fortunate enough to also become friends with Lou Paulo, who was Les Paul's guitar player. And I sat next to, just like this, next to Lou for 18 years with him mentoring and teaching me how to play and how to perform. So, and that's always, when you talk about on the side, I always think about life as having just, you have a bunch of irons in the fire, right? So there's playing is one of them, your family is another one, your career is another one. There's so many, your anything else, maybe your community life is another one, right? But you have all these things that are going on. And for me, when I looked at being a musician, one of the hardest things about being a musician is just getting any traction and doing it for a living. And to be honest with you, I just didn't like being broke. It was it's one of those things you do feast and famine, is how I observed being a musician. And a lot of the guys I knew who were wonderful players and amazing players were struggling, and guys that were way better than me struggling. So I decided along the way is that I could do both. And what I started doing is I started building my career and getting more traction that way, getting to see the world in my last job. When I retired from Accenture in 2017, I had worked in 16 countries, worked and lived in 4 of them, and spent a considerable amount of time in Asia, 3.5 years in Asia, and got to learn a lot, see the world, learn about myself, learn about other cultures, but continuing to play the guitar. And then if you look at the world as being, here's my corporate professional life, and then here's my guitar life, over the time it started doing this. Where I started spending more time playing the guitar, and then less time really being focused on the corporate world, because I'd seen it, done it.
Yeah, I mean, you put in the work already, so it's more time that, if you're going towards retirement, you don't really need to put your 100% all of that into it if you've already built that part of your career up.
And you also too have to understand as for yourself, meaning not so much you but me, is that as you're starting to wanting to do that other portion, you're going to start not giving your 100%, as you're saying. That's not fair to your clients, your company, the people that work for you, things like that. So at some point, you've got to make the decision that, hey, this has got to stop, and then you have enough to live, and then you go over and start concentrating. And then all the skills that I learned of building businesses, because we incubated businesses at Google, Facebook, we did it with Procter & Gamble, we did it with all clients around the world, is that you take those skills and you're applying them now to the music world.
Right. And that was going to be my next question is, there's a lot of people that have been here that perform, but they also have a background in corporate where they still do it or they just quit. And I always ask how that's incorporated what you do. I mean, obviously, with entertainment, there is business behind it, whether people understand that or not.
Right.
But I know with Accenture, you work with some big corporations, big companies, and you work with how AI works and how these companies are generating it and all those things. So if you work with the Fortune, 500 type of companies, how has that impacted how you push your own brand as a guitarist, as a musician?
So we at that point, what we do with this one is you look at what is marketable out there too, because you have to be very careful when you're playing. When you're playing, and Lou used to remind me, he says, when you're playing for your audience, you're not playing for yourself. If you're playing for yourself, go just get a studio, a bunch of guys together, a bunch of people together, play your heart's content, play whatever you want to play. But at the end of the day, you are putting together a product that you want to make sure that the people that are watching are enjoying. You want people tapping your feet. So what you want to do is you want to figure out, okay, what do you think is going to get these people looking at you, paying attention to your music, and sometimes it's trial and error. What Lou used to do back in the day, he'd sit there in a room on a casual gig, and he'd divide the room up, and he'd play different types of music and see the reaction. And then at the break, he'd go to me, they like Frank Sinatra, they like 60s, they like country western, and then what you do is you tailor your moment and your music to them. And with Tony Pereira's Guitar Night, which I've been incubating for the last several months, when I looked at that, we kind of had a hole in the market. We have guitar nights in New York City with Frank Vignola. We used to have one in LA with John Pisano. He did it for 20 years, now he's in his 90s. Not so much anymore. And we didn't really have that really going on here? And I looked at it and I said, well, this would be fun to do. So then we put on my Accenture hat and say, well, we have to incubate the business a bit. We have to try a few things out, make some investments, see what works, see what doesn't work, and then mold the show over time. So we've done the show 3 times. I've got another booking where we just immediately got another booking to do the show in the same place, and I have an option for more in the same venue. But what we do is we do a show. What we do is we don't go from song to song to song to song. We play tunes that people know. We may play a couple tunes maybe they don't, but that's okay. And then we also give the history behind the music as to something like All of Me. When was it written? Who did it? Who did it first? Why was it such a big hit? What was happening in the country at that time? And when you and stories like that, and which we find even with Accenture or the Food Channel or any of those, stories that come from the heart, stories that are meaningful to you, translate very well. The audience says, oh yeah, I can relate to that. I've had a mother, sure. Played guitar.
Yeah.
My mother liked to hear me play guitar. Well, people also had their family sitting there loving them when they were playing their instruments. Songs remind people of things. They're events in their lives, happy, sometimes sad. Robert Conti, who's my current guitar teacher right now, who I get a lot of coaching from, Robert will say that what he learned over his years of playing is every song has a meaning to someone. And what you want to do is you want to strike those chords, and you want to reach and touch the people with the music, and that's what we shoot to do. And so, like I said, so we look at as from the corporate side of it, which is what do you think is going to be marketable, what do you think is going to sell, and then how do we then appeal to the emotional side of it, which is having the audience say, yeah, you know what, I can relate to that. I remember that song, or I like that, or you guys are pretty interesting. I never saw that before.
Right. So I know Shanghai was one of the places that was on your resume of places that you played guitar. Now, with places where English might not be the first language or even second, and you have different cultures, and even though we can say music is kind of like a universal language, everyone can understand music in a way and relate to it or like it or whatever. How did you gear the styling to the audience of places where they might not have heard of certain artists that you were playing? And how did you get kind of a great reaction from those audiences in those countries?
So, well, one of the beauties of actually being outside the United States is jazz is pretty well known and appreciated. I think we did pick tunes. So I think about Shanghai specifically. When I was working in Shanghai, we definitely picked tunes that were known and relatable, even if there was a language barrier. Now, one thing about Shanghai is like city in New York City. It's just a Chinese version of New York City. Yeah, so it's a melting pot. If we were in Chengdu, the center of the country, where the war machine is, and further isolated, maybe we might not have been so fortunate. But being in Shanghai, a very international, very global city, who was thirsting for anything that was coming out of the West at the time. In fact, that year in 2010 was the Shanghai Expo, and Herbie Hancock was there with Dee Dee Bridgewater. So giants and jazz were there, and they just packed the place. So what we did is, we made it relatable. One of the things we don't do, and the same thing I did when I was in Shanghai, is I made sure that we were light on solos. Very long on melody, because Les Paul once said to me, Tony, he says, no one hums your solo. No one. They hum the melodies. They want to walk out humming a song that they've heard.
Of course.
And so with Tony Perra's Guitar Night, what we did in Shanghai, anytime I play, it was very long on melody, maybe a couple of choruses on the solo, maybe no more than one. And we move on to the next song. And we did that, and it was funny because funny as you asked that question, is because the singer she was from Austria but educated in New York City, and wonderful voice, Heidi Kren. And I remember Heidi she felt like I was working her to death, because we would do, like when she would do a gig, she'd maybe sing five tunes for an hour. She'd do 12 with me. And because we went boom, song after song after song, keep the audience engaged. So I think in Shanghai, we kept our audience engaged, and I had great support from the food and beverage manager there, who took great pains to advertise. When his boss pushed back on some of it, and all of a sudden his boss started bringing guests to the gig. And we do it once a month, and it would be a trio, piano, it would be a voice, guitar, and bass. And then later on we added a drum. But it was just making it relatable.
Yeah, but that's great, because I think a lot of times, even if they might not know the song. If they hear a great melody or they hear great instrumentals and great playing, you're kind of tuned in. You kind of,
Right.
get their attention in that way. And like you said, music's a universal language. So even if it's just instrumental, no vocal, nothing, I think that's a lot of people just like listening and hearing great musicians just playing, whether it's piano, guitar, in your case. But taking it back, what was it about guitar specifically? So today I know you brought, it's an electric guitar,
Yep, my
correct?
7-string.
Right. Okay, so you play guitar your whole life. Was there something about guitar that you're like, that's the one? Because I'm sure music always spoke to you, but did you have a battle of what should I play? Guitar, you have bass, you have cello, you have piano, things like that. What was it about the guitar that really spoke to you?
So back in let's go back even further, probably in the early mid 60s, my mother
Okay.
signed me up for piano lessons,
Okay.
and it just wasn't for me. I didn't want to practice. I just didn't enjoy it. It just wasn't floating my boat. So my mother said to the piano teacher, the piano teacher grabbed my mother and said, "Look, he's not doing it. He doesn't. He's hating it. What you have to do," he said to her, "is stop, let him come to you, and he will pick an instrument." So my mother said to the piano teacher, and this is very typical here in New Jersey or New York. My mother said to the piano teacher, "Well, I like piano." He says, "Well, then I'll teach you piano," but he doesn't want to play.
Right.
About a few years later, and we started doing. I went to a Catholic grammar school, and that's why that's relevant. Is back in that period, we started doing the folk masses, and we had people coming in and playing guitar. So there was one particular guy that he was an adult, and he was really good. I'm like, that's pretty interesting. And then, of course, you heard the Jimi Hendrix and all the stuff that was happening around the same time, and Led Zeppelin and things like that. But didn't really speak to me. But I saw these guys playing, and one of the reasons I thought guitar would be good too is you have total control of your instrument, meaning quality too. Because if you go back in those days, we didn't have a lot of electric pianos. It wasn't that big. It was just becoming big. So you're always at the mercy of whatever instrument was sitting in a room. So I never really considered any of the other band instruments like horns and things like that. I just wanted to play something that I could kind of carry with me, but that would be universal. And then I could hear things like Johnny Smith, and doing solo guitar, and hearing all these other people that they used the guitar like a piano, and it just grabbed me. And I started. My mother and father said to me, "Okay, great. Well, you're 10 years old. We'll wait till the summer's over. When the fall rolls around, we'll start with the guitar lessons." Never look back. I was 10 years old and never looked back. I barely remember not having a guitar in my hand. It's been
It just
that long.
clicked. right?
Yeah, I just
You
loved
picked
it.
up
My
the
mother
guitar.
said,
Yeah.
my mother's not long gone now, but my mother would tell you, she would say, I've never had to tell them to practice. Never.
Yeah,
Never. I just love it. And today, I practice 5, 6, 7 hours a day today.
of course. Do you write your own music? Opposed to
I do not.
Okay.
I do not do that. There's it's something I would like to start to do, but there's so many beautiful tunes out there that, because I've done arranging and I've done things like that, but not writing new tunes. There's so many beautiful Great American Songbook tunes that I just love to play and love playing with them with other people and you can't write those tunes today because the world just isn't there.
Yeah.
Meaning, even if you could try to write it, it doesn't lend itself to producing that type of music anymore.
Of course.
So I don't know what I would write if I did try to write, but I love diving into the Great American. There's thousands and thousands and
Yeah.
thousands of tunes that I'll be long dead before I can get to them all.
Of course, and I know that you specialize in the Great American
Yeah,
Songbook.
that's what I love to play.
Right, and you also, is there some musician, even or if it's a singer, it doesn't even have to be a guitarist, that really motivated you to become better? Like you look at this person, like this is my idol, right? This is what continues to motivate me, is that whatever impact that musician might have on you emotionally, on your life, or even within the world of music that we know today, who would that person be?
Whew, it's be hard to narrow it down to one. I mean, I would say that my all-time favorite guitar player is probably, I'm sure you've never heard of him, is Tony Mottola.
Okay.
And Tony Mottola was like the guitarist's guitarist. He was very famous in New York City. Used to be on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. He was in the band the whole bit. But Tony had and I knew Bucky Pizzarelli was a friend of his, and that guitar that I have over there is a model, Bucky model. And Bucky will say they never heard Tony Mottola ever hit a bad note. So I would say if I wanted to be anybody, or that was kind of my model, but then you could start going from there, right? There's Bucky Pizzarelli, there's Art Tatum on the piano, Oscar Peterson on the keyboard, on the piano, Frank Sinatra, the way he delivered a song, and another one that probably, Billie Holiday, Judy Garland. I mean, you can go all these different folks just coming down the list of pieces that you grab. And I think as you become more proficient in anything, you tend not to focus on any one individual. You try to grab the best of what you think is relevant and best pieces for you, and start adding it to your bag of tricks, which I think ultimately. So I say, if you ask me to pin the one, I would say Tony Mottola would be my guitar god. And then from there, what are the other ingredients from other people like Johnny Smith, Howard Roberts, my guitar teacher Robert Conti, Lou Palo, Les Paul, Fred Astaire, another one. You think, oh my God, is he a great? He's one of the greatest vocalists ever who to deliver a song. His song interpretations, bar none, are better than anybody's. And you listen to some of his watch his old movies. Everybody thinks about him dancing, but the way he delivered an Irving Berlin tune,
Of course.
beautiful,
Absolutely.
beautiful.
Right, and you, being from the East Coast, even New Jersey, you had access to a lot of things going on in New York. And
Lucky.
being on the East Coast, you have a lot of that live entertainment at a really high standard. You have really big schools and, that really focus on music out there, right? So now that you lived in Las Vegas, how long have you been here?
I've been here officially since 2016.
Okay, 2016. So it's not that long.
No.
But I'm sure you've now seen the differences between what Las Vegas has to offer in regards to the level and standard of entertainment versus what is there in New York, right on the East Coast. How do you manage that? Do you notice those things? Do you see it as a positive, a negative? And what are you trying to contribute being from a big city like that can bring to Las Vegas?
Well, I don't know if I'm so cocky as to say bringing anything to Las Vegas, to be honest with you. I don't know if I would say that, but if you talk about differences, I would say that our focus, because we have a lot of really good players here. In fact, Brahim Sheree, who's going to be with me on bass tonight, is a phenomenal bass player. And he lived in New York for a while, too. So you do have some transplants that have lived there and come out. I would say that the focus here in Vegas, you'll hear that Vegas is called the entertainment capital, whereas you'll hear the other cities are called music capitals. And I think here there's more of a view on entertainment, more on the singing. There's small pockets of places where you can actually play. So I think we have a great talent pool here. We absolutely do. Is the talent pool any different than in New York? I just think the focus may be a little different. I think you have a lot more small ensembles, more opportunities for jazz musicians to play in New York, LA, or in Chicago than you do here in Las Vegas. And it's just the market.
Yeah, of course.
But in terms of players, we've got some amazing players. I mean, I go down the list. I mean, you have Joey Singer, 35 years with Debbie Reynolds, but you throw him on a keyboard to play some jazz, and the guy burns the place down. Steve Flora is another bass player that's fantastic out there. Jake Langley is one of the finest guitarists in the city. John Falbo is another great guitar player who does a lot with Bruce Harper. I think he's well into his 70s. He's a New York guy that transplanted himself out here. Have you heard of him? Probably not. But if you go to Manzu on Friday night when Naomi is singing, John will be the guitar player. So we have a lot. Boris Shapiro, great drummer. Adam Shandell, another great drummer who is with Wayne Newton. And all these different players are here. So we've got the talent pool. I think the opportunity for them to play the type of music that you can get in LA and in New York is here, just not as much. But can they execute? Absolutely.
Yeah.
At a very high level.
Of course. So you also are a music producer as well. I know that there's some performers out here that you're associated with, Leila Ross being one of them. And you're performing on your own with your band, you perform with other people. What kind of is your goal as a performer in Las Vegas? Where do you want to end up? What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind as a guitarist, as a performer, as a musician?
Well, part of the legacy I would think is that whenever you hired me, you got a guy that paid attention and did his best. So that's part of the legacy I would like as a musical director and things like that. I think ultimately I would like to see this guitar night turn into something. The guitar night was designed to actually be multiple rotating guitarists, rotating singers, maybe even rotating band members. John Pisano in L.A. had a different guitar player every week when they would do it, and Frank in New York City has probably a stable of guys. That's who's ever in town. That's who you direct, right? And to me, I would like to say that this guy helped put the guitar back on the map, at least in the city, in Vegas, and has those guitar nights. And that to me is my legacy. I would like to see is that the guitar night takes off, and people come and see it and enjoy it, and come out for as long as they do enjoy it. Right. And then we make sure that we don't overstay our welcome. I think it's very important in any business. You have to watch your crest, and you have to get out before the crest.
Yeah.
And I think that's very clear. I mean, you start to see it now with some of the performers, like Johnny Smith was one of those. was another one who was the guitar player, but Johnny stopped playing because he couldn't practice to keep himself at the level of what he perceived to be Johnny Smith. And I do think, just like Seinfeld, they hit the crest. They were number one when they went out. Andy Griffith went out number one, right? All these, and I think it's better to say, man, I wish they were still on versus, oh, I'm glad they're gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Or they hit a plateau and then there's nothing really different. It's not changing. It's not exciting anymore.
Yeah. Then you need to stop. Then you need to find something else to do. Yeah.
So what would you say about yourself in regards to other performers? If you were in a group of musicians and you said, okay, well, choose me, what would be your pitch? What makes you different and stand out beyond all these other amazing talent in Las Vegas?
I don't know if I would use, because we always were very careful about that at Accenture. Is you didn't quite always compare yourself to your competition. Is usually, so what is something that, what am I bringing to the table? What I'm bringing to the table is my business focus. So I think what I used to do helps me when somebody hires me as a musical director, because not only think about the music, I'm thinking the business aspect of it, profitability and things like that. So I think when you grab me, you're getting that former Accenture guy, which is very business focused.
Yeah, and I feel it's hard for you to let that part go.
And I won't.
You won't.
Yeah, I won't,
it's hard for you to fully immerse yourself in music without bringing up, Accenture.
Well, I can immerse myself. What I don't immerse myself is being, and I don't want to use this as a negative, but being artistic at the risk of not watching the bottom line. So I think what I bring is being able to harmonize the two. Is that I do believe that there's a certain level of artistry that has to be done, but you also have to make a profit in order to be sustainable. So I think if you hire me, you're getting that former background on there. If you're hiring me, it's because you're looking for more of a jazz guy than a rock guy. So the more pop tunes, the more covers and stuff like that, I tend to shy away from those. If you called me up and said to me, look, I've got a cover band, we're going to be doing a bunch of tunes, and we're going to do them exactly like the record, I would be more than happy to give you 5 guys that are better than me to do that. And I think I bring that value too, is I won't do something that I feel...
It's not your strong suit.
Yeah, and I would be happy to recommend somebody who I think can do it. Yeah, and so there's really no ego with me. One of the beauties of being retired now is that I can pick and choose what I want to do. I don't have to take everything. And by taking everything, you can really screw somebody else's band up. But if you're not honest with yourself too. So I bring that to the table, and I think professionalism, and the other part of it is you'll have a very tight business model, in terms of contracts, people getting paid on time. That's a big issue. That's a big issue.
I will agree with you on that one.
People getting paid is I've seen people.
Super hard for some reason. I don't know why it's.
Well, I
think it's the lowest like you would think that's not even supposed to be a big deal, and then it ends up being like you're chasing down a year later for a gig you did, and
I know people that do that. I mean, I tend to EFT it like when my rule, because I may forget or I may get on to something else.
Right.
When we're doing a gig and as you're walking in the door, I'm just shooting you the money.
Yeah.
You're not going to run out of me. You're not going to run out of me.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to leave. So you shoot them the money. Now they're not worried about getting paid.
Yeah.
And they're done. Now they can focus on what I need them to focus on, which is the music. But it's very interesting. I think what I've noticed is I think some of the bands out there, when they're taking gigs, they tend to run their business underfunded. So, and you'll hear things like, well, I was waiting for the club's check to clear. Collections is my problem. Not if you're working for me. Collections are my
artists or the performers issue. Like you should just guarantee their payment.
Collections are my problem.
Exactly.
Right. If I never get paid by the venue, that is not your problem.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I don't make it anybody's problem.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the big people get with me too.
It's a popular thing I've noticed.
I may not be. That may not be maybe the best guy they're going to work for in terms of being a musician, but they know they'll get paid.
Yeah, but that's it sounds crazy. You would think that should be like the bare minimum.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that, especially here, that is actually a far reach. You're asking for a lot when you're demanding your pay, and you already did the job, right?
Yeah, well, I've seen guys. I've seen performers, musicians that I've talked to. They'll tell me that they waited months. Months.
Yeah, I've waited years. Still,
yeah.
Threatened when I ask for it. Stuff like that.
And
that's what happens.
And as a business guy, there's cost of money. For every minute you don't get paid, it's a 1.5% per month that you're losing on the money. I mean, that's the way I think.
Yeah.
Right. So if I don't give somebody something, and then on top of that, if you've got to chase me, your hourly wages keeps going down for every minute you have to spend chasing me to get what you should have gotten in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's the way I
And
think.
then you kind of ruin business
Yeah.
networks and all those things.
Yeah,
Now
nobody
you're not
wants to
gonna
work for
hire-
you.
Exactly, exactly. So
I mean,
it's
I-
never going to work out. So I don't know why that's a thing, but it's very, very, very much
Yeah.
a thing. So you're going to be performing today, correct?
Yes.
And can you give a little insight on what you'll be performing? You do have your bass player here with you
Yes,
that we
Graham.
will see after the interview. So give us a little insight on what the viewers will be expecting. From
So
us.
what we're going to do is we're going to do a swing tune called "Swonderful" by George Gershwin, and it's an old tune, probably from 1927, 28. And we're probably going to see something that you probably don't see too often, which is one of my favorite ways to play, is just guitar and bass. And and what's beautiful about that moment is like when you have a player like Bram, not only is he basically is your drummer, he's your keyboard player, and so he's providing your harmony behind you and also the pulse. And all I have to do is play. Because if you look at music, there's only two things you ever really need. You need melody, and you need bass.
Yes.
Everything in between is gravy. It's icing on the cake, nice to have. The 7-string guitar, which I guess point to off camera here with you guys, is a Bucky Pizzarelli model. I started playing 7-string probably about 20 years ago. Bucky was one of my favorite players. George Van Emp's another one. The 7th string is a low A, which allows me
Okay.
to give me some more depth. So when I
see.
play a note, I can hit it. So if I'm playing by myself, I may not need a bass player. I like
Yeah.
having them. I think they're great. But if I don't have one, I have enough bottom in my guitar to be able to do solo guitar
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So it's really not a lot of people can play 7-string guitar.
Yeah, a lot of
And,
people don't want to
yeah.
either. It's
Yeah,
like-
yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, So one last question. This
Sure.
question I ask all of my guests
Mhm.
because it kind of sums up who they are. It kind of sums up everything we've heard because I think the viewers get to know you a little bit as the interview goes along. The question is there a philosophy that you live by?
Yeah, do the right thing.
Okay.
Do what you always believe is the right thing. There's probably when I was with Accenture, that was one thing my boss always said. It was about the integrity. He said when I was there, he said you never had to worry about trusting me. He always knew I would take care of the clients. He always knew I would take care of the people. He always knew that no matter what it took, we would always do the right thing and what we believed was to be right.
Right.
Now sometimes what you believe to be right may be wrong. But as long as you go in there with your heart as pure
Yeah.
intent that you believe
It's
you're doing the
genuine.
right thing and that you're not gaming the system, trying to make yourself look better at the expense of
Yeah.
anyone else, just do the right thing. So to me, just do the right thing. Do the right
Yeah.
thing. Do what you believe is in your heart, and I think you do that, and
Yeah.
you're good.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that kind of sums you up as a whole. I mean, I feel like that's how you lived your life. I mean, you are a good businessman.
much easier.
It's pretty, yeah, it is. And if you lead being genuine like that, I
Yeah.
feel like you don't have as much to worry about because at least everything you did was with integrity and something that you believe in. So there's not much to.
Yeah, there's
there's
another.
no fluff. There's no,
No.
to remember what did I say. You know what I mean? It's very
Well, to paraphrase, I
straightforward.
think it was
Yeah.
paraphrasing Mark Twain, is you never have to remember anything if you tell the truth.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah,
That's exactly
right.
Right. So please tell the audience where they can follow you, they can view you, about your guitar night, where your next show is going to be,
Sure.
and how they can look out for that.
So we are going to be at Max's Jazz on Decatur and Flamingo. So you go to maxofjazz.com and they go to reservations. That's going to be June 7th at 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. We're going to have on Tony Perez Guitar Night that night. We'll have John Wiedemeyer from the lead guitarist for the Beach Boys will be with me. Bram Charay, who you will see today with me on bass. We'll have Wendy Carianis on vocals, and we'll have Adam Shandell on drums. We had a great night the last time, and Max invited us back pretty fast. So come on down. In fact, a couple of people came down and asked me, do play a couple of songs for them while they were there. So happy to
Yeah.
do some requests too.
You're good with improv too. That's how well you know your music. Perfect. Well, thank you so much. When we come
Thank you.
back, they will be performing right after this break, so make sure you don't go anywhere.
Traditional TV is going away. Hollywood is starting to fade. People are demanding real stories from real people. Our voices are now being heard in our own way. Podcasts, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok Live are becoming the norm. Internet TV has now reached the highest demand in human history. Social media shows is now the new media of the century. Traditional TV is going away. Hollywood is starting to fade. People are demanding real stories from real people. Our voices are now being heard in our own way. Podcasts, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok Live are becoming the norm. Internet TV has now reached the highest demand in human history. Social media shows is now the new media of the century. Traditional TV is going away. Hollywood is starting to fade. People are demanding real stories from real people. Our voices are now being heard in our own way. Podcasts, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok Live are becoming the norm. Internet TV has now reached the highest demand in human history. Social media shows is now the new media of the century. Traditional TV is going away. Hollywood is...
Hello, everyone. This is Joseph Skoda with Social Media Shows. Well, I thank all of you for your support through these last several years, and it's been a lot of fun. We've given people a voice they never had before. Now, Social Media Shows is always collaborating with our veterans to help them do things and help out the veterans who are struggling today. And we teamed up with GI Connections, connecting veterans with resources. So please consider helping and donating to this great cause because we're always doing things for veterans.
Thanks, Priscilla, for inviting us to play a tune. So today we're going to do a tune called It's Wonderful, and we talked about it a little bit earlier by George Gershwin. To my left is my favorite bass player in town, Graham Charay. And in fact, when we talked about Guitar Night, Tony Pereira's Guitar Night, you'll see Graham there on the next one.
music in the studio. And thank you so much, Tony, for that amazing interview. So make sure to go look them out on social media and go see their show on June 7th. Thank you guys so much
Thank you.
once again. And when we come back from the break, we're going to meet our next guest, so don't go anywhere.
Thank you.
Are you looking to record or film your podcast? We have the sound room and necessary equipment you need. Contact us for pricing and to schedule your tour.
Hi, I'm Deacon T with Modern Word Ministries. It's great to be with you today. Just a short little promo for our show. Every Sunday morning we have service, and you can follow us at 10 a.m. Pacific Time on modernwordministries.org. And if you missed us or you want to see some of our older messages, go ahead and check us out on socialmediashows.com every single morning at 9 a.m. It's a great way to kick off your day, get a little bit of the word in you, get something uplifting, get you started off on your way. You know, if you're looking for prayer or you need some help, reach out to us. If you go to our website, again, that's modernwordministries.org, you can interact with me via telephone, via DM, text message, whatever you want. I'll get right back to you. So if you need prayer, you need help, you just need somebody to talk to, Modern Word Ministries is here for you. We are your church in the community. So until you see you next time, be blessed, everybody. Bye-bye.
Hello, everyone. This is Joseph Skoda with Social Media Shows. Well, I thank all of you for your support through these last several years, and it's been a lot of fun. We've given people a voice they never had before. Now, Social Media Shows is always collaborating with our veterans to help them do things and help out the veterans who are struggling today. And we teamed up with GI Connections, connecting veterans with resources. So please consider helping and donating to this great cause, because we're always doing things for veterans. So GI Connections, Social Media Shows, and you is what makes the world a better place. Once again, Joseph Skoda, proud United States Air Force veteran.
Traditional TV is going away. Hollywood is starting to fade. People are demanding real stories from real people. Our voices are now being heard in our own way. Podcasts, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok Live are becoming the norm. Internet TV has now reached the highest demand in human history. Social Media Shows is now the new media of the century.
Hello, everyone. This is Joseph Skoda with Social Media Shows. Well, I thank all of you for your support through these last several years, and it's been a lot of fun. We've given people a voice they never had before. Now, Social Media Shows is always collaborating with our veterans to help them do things and help out the veterans who are struggling today. And we teamed up with GI Connections, connecting veterans with resources. So please consider helping and donating to this great cause, because we're always doing things for veterans. So GI Connections, Social Media Shows, and you is what makes the world a better place. Once again, Joseph Skoda, proud United States Air Force veteran.
Testing. Is it good? Does it sound great? Okay.
Are you looking to record or film your podcast? We have the sound room and all necessary equipment you need. Contact us for pricing and to schedule your tour.
Hello, everyone. This is Joseph Skoda with Social Media Shows. Well, I thank all of you for your support through these last several years, and it's been a lot of fun. We've given people a voice they never had before. Now, Social Media Shows is always collaborating with our veterans to help them do things and help out the veterans who are struggling today. And we teamed up with GI Connections, connecting veterans with resources. So please consider helping and donating to this great cause because we're always doing things for veterans. So GI Connections, Social Media Shows, and you is what makes the world a better place. Once again, Joseph Skoda, proud United States Air Force veteran.
Hi, I'm Deacon T with Modern Word Ministries. It's great to be with you today. Just a short little promo for our show. Every Sunday morning we have service, and you can follow us at 10 a.m. Pacific Time on modernwordministries.org. And if you missed us or you want to see some of our older messages, go ahead and check us out on socialmediashows.com every single morning at 9 a.m. It's a great way to kick off your day, get a little bit of the word in you, get something uplifting, get you started off on your way. You know, if you're looking for prayer or you need some help, reach out to us. If you go to our website, again, that's modernwordministries.org, you can interact with me via telephone, via DM, text message, whatever you want. I'll get right back to you. So if you need prayer, you need help, you just need somebody to talk to, Modern Word Ministries is here for you. We are your church in the community. So until you see you next time, be blessed, everybody. Bye-bye.
Hello, everyone. This is Joseph Skoda with Social Media Shows. Well, I thank all of you for your support through these last several years, and it's been a lot of fun. We've given people a voice they never had before. Now, Social Media Shows is always collaborating with our veterans to help them do things and help out the veterans who are struggling today. And we teamed up with GI Connections, connecting veterans with resources. So please consider helping and donating to this great cause because we're always doing things for veterans. So GI Connections, Social Media Shows, and you is what makes the world a better place. Once again, Joseph Skoda, proud United States Air Force veteran.
Traditional TV is going away. Hollywood is starting to fade. People are demanding real stories from real people. Our voices are now being heard in our own way. Podcasts, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok Live are becoming the norm. Internet TV has now reached the highest demand in human history. Social Media Shows is now the...
Hi guys, and welcome back to the Hot Seat. I am your host, Priscilla Moy. We are live here in real time at Social Media Shows here in the studio. We had an amazing interview with Tony, and we had his great bass player, Bram, here today performing for you. So I really hope that you guys really look into his guitar day, his guitar night, his performance, and really get a ticket to that and go support them. He's a great musician and has a lot to contribute to Las Vegas. So we are going to jump right into our next guest. Now we're going to enter the world of politics again. As you guys have seen, we've only done this one other time with another assemblyman. So we're going to have someone running for U.S. Congress here today at the Hot Seat. I am a little nervous for this, so you guys bear with me. I'm kind of starstruck a little bit. So everyone, please welcome Ron Quince. Hi,
How
thank
are
you
you?
so
Thanks for having
much for taking time out of your day and coming in the studio to be here with us. How are you feeling today?
Good,
It's a great
good,
day.
good. You know,
You look
busy
great.
campaigning.
You look great. Yes.
Actually, I'm a little bit underdressed, you know. I
No,
didn't
you're
it's gonna
not.
be
We're
so,
matching though. You have the orange tie, so I picked a perfect outfit today. Look at that. It's meant to be.
Well,
you know.
I'm just trying to follow the protocol in the email.
No green
I
or
was
yellow.
I was gonna wear green or yellow.
Should have.
Since
Just
it's
have a
spring.
floating head. Ron. Go for Queens. So first and foremost, now you are from the Philippines. You have
Correct. I
been
was born in the
Vegas.
Philippines. Yeah, I came here when I was young. I grew up in Los Angeles and get educated in Arizona. And I had an opportunity 20 years ago to move here in Vegas. I started my business here. Started a family here. And a few years ago, I'd probably say 4 years ago, I started getting into philanthropy. And went back to the Philippines, donated some toys there, especially when they have like a typhoon season. And I go to Mexico and donate toys to the kids there. And of course here, during Thanksgiving, I usually give out turkeys, even though sometimes I forgot I didn't have any turkeys. And also, of course, like toys. So when I was doing the philanthropy things, I realized that I can do this on a bigger level. That's why I decided to run for office, because I believe that this country it's about time that for us to have better leaders, because the leaders that we have right now, it's been there forever, and they're losing touch with the community. At least someone like myself that's actually still involved in the community knows how the way, my constituents' concern and problems, because right now there's just so much problems, and pretty sure some people don't even want to hear the news anymore because it's just like so much problems.
Yeah. So you actually were an accountant, right? You did.
I'm an accountant by
yes,
profession.
an accountant by profession.
I have a business consultant company, and what we do is we help small businesses on how to start their business, also help them with strategies on how to make their business better. So any business you can think of, I probably have consulted that, and involved in real estate as well, investments and things like that. So it's pretty much like well-rounded
Yeah,
as far as the business aspect, of it.
of course, and that's very important, especially in Nevada. Small businesses, and then also doing all these real estate is also huge.
Oh,
in
yeah,
Nevada as well.
absolutely.
So it's good to have that knowledge in the back while you're running for a district that's within Nevada, and then you're also getting your master's as well.
Correct,
And
yeah,
you
I'm
did
getting my
have a
master's,
quote,
yes.
Yeah, where you were studying that just to become more prepared if you do get the seat in Congress.
Well, like right now, that's for some reason for the last few years, our country has been emergency and crisis, and I believe that I can be a better congressman if I understood the way the crisis and emergency management work. Going back to school, which is like, oh my God, last time I went back to school, when I was to school, it's like probably 20 years ago, and now getting back in school, I actually go to UNLV, seeing the new different types of situation that like none of us can think of it, because like people are so busy, they usually just want to get into their daily lives. But in this situation, you're thinking about people first. Like, what would happen if something happened? And I was just there. I don't know, remember the shooting? We had a cohorts that time, and then the week after, and we were just talking about how the way we're gonna save people and help people, safely prevented measurements if there's like a gun shooting, and
Right.
what happens like the next week
Right.
there's
Right.
a shooting happens. So it's something about like that I'm not very familiar with that, so I decided to go back to school and more like study about it, be more conscious about it, because eventually once I became your congressman, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be doing those decisions.
Right. Do you think that there's a lot of people in office right now that might not have taken those educational steps to really know firsthand about specific things that are a huge crisis right now in America?
Absolutely. That's why we have some, I would probably say, politicians that they don't know what to do because they've never been exposed to that. They just get elected. Usually, that's why I'm running as a nonpartisan, because I was a part of the Republican Party before, and the problem about the two parties now is the Republican Party, they focus on the policies, but they don't focus on people. And then Democratic Party, they focus on people but not in policy. So when I was like looking where really I stand, I'm not really right-wing Republican, and I'm not a left-wing Democrat. I'm right in the middle, which is like right now, this is what the people need. I think both parties are not working anymore. I think we're already behind as far as a country. You cannot just have Republican and Democrat. Every voice matter in Nevada. People want to hear something different that, can willing to go across the aisle. Because if you're a Republican and you became a congressman, of course you have to listen to the people that's actually above you. And if you're a Democrat, you have to listen to the people, part of that, the leader of that party. So now you cannot really voice your experience because you have to please your bosses technically. But in this situation as a nonpartisan, my boss is the people of Congressional District 1. Because their voice matter.
Yeah. So you're really pushing the idea that, you work for the people, the government should be working for the people.
Absolutely.
Versus, hiding behind either the ego or your own view and trying to force people to believe those things. Right. So I know a lot of things that you are talking about with your campaign is that you're really focused on education reform, immigration reform, taxes, excessive spending, and things like that. So please elaborate how and why those things are so important to you as a resident of Nevada, and how you want to use that to change.
Is this going to be a 2-hour show?
Sure, Maria's
Sure,
saying
look at
sure,
that,
please.
sure,
She
look at
loves
that.
it. Maria loves the
Well,
politics.
let's talk about education. Of
Yeah.
course, the state of Nevada is actually, we're like sometimes number 47
Yeah.
in a good day. Bad day, we're like
Terrible.
number 51, including Puerto Rico. The mid-level income here in Nevada, they can't afford to send their kids in private school. If they're gonna go to charter school, there's a waiting list. And a lot of the concern of my constituents is like, Ron, you know what? We work, we're middle class, a community, and the thing is, we can't afford to send our kids to a private school that they charge $1,500 a month, which is more expensive than my tuition at UNLV. Okay, some people, but the problem is like if we send them to the public school, the concern they have is their kids are not learning. And the way to fix that is, first, we have to look at the other states actually doing well, such as Michigan, New Hampshire. They're doing really well in their educational program. And what I believe is we need to give the teachers proper tools on how to do their job, and we need to start recruiting better teachers in a different state, because others, like here, a regular typical teacher here in Clark County, to start off, they make $40,000 a year. So to them, why would I teach when I can just work in the service industry and make 3 times as that? All right. So now we're getting a lot of teachers that actually not practicing because they get paid more if they're doing different profession. So now my suggestion, of course, once I get elected, is put more money in the educational program. I believe that the federal government has a 40% budget that they can give to each state. Right now, I think we're just utilizing at least 18% of that. So we need to get that additional funding to help the student here, and of course the teachers here in Nevada.
Do you think, I know I asked this question before with somebody else who's big on education, because I have noticed, so I am from Chicago, I'm from the Midwest, and so when I moved here, I do notice why and how, in my own point of view, education is so low. Like, it makes sense. We can look at the numbers, but when you experience it and you talk to people, you kind of see, and you have young kids, so they will probably be going to the schools here. Do you believe it's just funding as the reason why we're so low and how we're teaching, or do you also think it's a social aspect in regards to
I remember when I moved here from Arizona, back then, the average bachelor's degree population, I would say 3%. And then the person with master's probably like 2%, because this is a service industry. Kind of like, I remember I used to have a classmate, we both went to accounting school, but when he came here to Vegas, he decided to park cars, because he goes like, Ron, the accounting, the accounting corporation is going to pay us $70,000. This one I make $120,000 a year. But the question now is, before that's the way it was, but since Vegas is growing, now there's more demand in education, because now, of course, we need doctors, we need lawyers, we need accountants, this city is growing. When I came here, I think there's like 250. Now there's like 3 million. And as you can see, the traffic every day wasn't like that before.
Oh, yeah.
So we're getting to that point now, and now the education more became in demand. This is a perfect place, a perfect state for Silicon Valley to come here, because you don't need any water, you don't need anything else. But the thing is, we don't have enough people that are actually educated, so that's why they can
Yes.
work to those fields. Now they have to bring people from a different state. So that's why they can work, but of course some people don't like the weather. You know, they like the California, things like that. So that's one of the things that that we need to do as a state, and of course that we want to make sure that if we're gonna invite Silicon Valley to come here, everything is computer now, that we have the right people to come here. Just like when they have Tesla in Reno, they have to get engineers from a different state,
Yeah.
sometimes in different countries, because this state is not ready to have that.
Right. Yeah.
But now, if we have that, then now probably that we can invite them a lot more, because this is still, at the end of the day, this is still a good state to be at. You know, we
Yeah.
don't have income taxes in this state.
Right.
So it's they're gonna save a lot of money, and the housing here is pretty good. You know, it's a little bit increasing now, but it was, you know, it's comparison to California. It's still, I'm pretty sure Chicago as well, it's still a nice
Yeah.
place to live.
Of course.
And of course, a lot of families are moving in. So now we need candidates and representative that actually can go with the change of life. It's not the old Las Vegas anymore. We don't see Frank Sinatra singing. It's different now.
It's different.
You know, we have people now that actually come in here because, you know, they wanna better their family. They're more qualified, but sometimes how many people does the casino need to have a vice president of
Right.
tourist industry? So now we need to encourage a lot of big companies, banks, anything that doesn't require farming to come here. And you know, and this state is it's a great state. I've been here for 20 years and I love it here.
And you made a great point, because I think a lot of people, a lot of locals don't like the idea of outsourcing for whatever it may be. You know, my industry, entertainment, it's a big thing where why are we outsourcing actors? Why are we outsourcing production companies when we have talent here? But I feel like in regards to, especially, I think this goes back down to education, no matter where you're from. If you don't have that quality that you're looking for in order to run these big companies, Nevada can't possibly do that and build up their hierarchy within those companies, whether it be engineering, whether it be business, whether it be corporations that maybe isn't a casino, right? Or things that people are used to here, right?
Absolutely. It was so funny because I'm pretty sure before you move here, you know, you came to Vegas all the time. And back then, when I was on my 20s, I would come to Vegas and I'd be like, wait a minute, there's houses here?
Yeah. Really?
Because, you know, I was just
Oh my
thinking it was
gosh,
the strip.
right,
And then when I
right.
actually moved here, oh my God, they actually have playgrounds, they have this, they have that, they have schools. Because, of course, back then, the way they built Vegas is just an entertainment town. But now, of course, a lot of people are coming in, a lot of corporations are coming in, and we have to go change with the time. And of course, now that's the educational aspect of it. The second one that's really dear important in my life is actually the service industry tax. I was talking to a lady today, and she's been in the service industry for a while. I would probably say 25 years. She's a waitress, and she was telling me that in 2020, before they were just their taxes, they were just base rate on $690, but in 2022, their base rate now is $1620, which is doubled. And she was telling me that, Ron, I'm paying for taxes that I didn't even make, because what happened was the new IRS guidelines, they put all the money together, all the tips. So let's say you're getting 50 and I'm only getting 10, but since this is on a pool, we have to split it. So it's not fair for me because I'm supposed to pay only on the $10.
Yeah.
It's great for you because now you only have to pay for the
Right, of
$25.
course.
So those are one of the things that the biggest problem right now, because what happened is they have to report their tips a lot higher. They go up to a tax bracket, and then now they pay more taxes. And people don't want to pay taxes. They have no problem paying taxes because we have to pay taxes to, you know, pay the roads, you know, and all these things that's going on in Vegas. However, if I'm only making $25, why would I pay $50 that I'm making $50? It's just not fair. So those are the things that their concerns about it, and unfortunately, the sitting representative right now voted for those races. So looking at it, wait a minute, I think this person's not thinking about their constituents, because if you're thinking about your constituents, especially in Las Vegas, we're a tip capital of the world. You know, we need to help the people that live here, because if we save them taxes, then what's going to happen? They're going to use that money and put it back to the economy. And now we're going to have surplus again, just like what it used to. That's why Vegas back then, I remember when I moved here 20 years ago, there's so much surplus. We just have so much money. Now we're barely making it because of that. And now they said, Ron, they would tell me, Ron, Vegas, Nevada is not a free income tax state. And I said, well, if you think about it, it's not. It's a fee state, because everything that we do, there's a fees. And I'm like, well, those are the things that we need to work on. Like, we need to make sure that identify all the expenses, stop spending, only spend that we can spend, because if I'm running my business the way the government's running the business now, I would have been bankrupt. We need to hold accountabilities for people, and like, you know, I've worked for corporate America before. If nobody's watching, nobody's going to do their job. We need to watch them. Unfortunately, in this situation, our boss is the American people, and we need to make sure that their dollars getting spent wisely and getting in and spending it inside here in the United States.
So what do you think is the underlying problem as to why taxing the American people is being so corrupt? Do you think it goes down to the country's spending and how much debt we have, and they're just having us pay for those?
Absolutely, and that's what's happening right now.
Okay.
What happens, like, we just have the inflation's so high because right now we're just spending so much money, and like, as you can see, like, gas prices are high. They encourage us to have electric cars, which I have no problem with that. You know, I want us to be eventually. I have young children. Eventually, I want my kids to have a green earth environment, but we are not in that level yet. It's gonna take some time. You know, one time I have a Tesla, you know, and people are like, start giving me a hard time. They're like, oh, da 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 da, you know, Tesla. But I was telling them, well, yeah, I have a Tesla, but I also have a few cars, actually, gas, because you know, I can't afford to buy all electric cars, right? So, but at least maybe I can help the environment, you know, one Tesla at a time, you know, and but some people need to understand how the way things work now, that it's just not for them, it's for everybody. You know, if you want to drive, you know, I don't know, V8, you can afford it, more power to you. If you want to drive a Tesla because, you know, you want to have a green earth environment, drive it. This is a free country. You can do whatever you want. And that's the time that I realized that my voters in my district are free thinkers. You know, they don't want to be like stuck. They don't want the government to run their lives. Like, kind of like, hey, you know, gas is cheap. Go buy some cars. Well, yeah, but I want to have a Tesla. Okay, then you know what? We're gonna make the Tesla higher so you can afford it, so you can buy a regular car. Oh, the gas is high. You know, we want you to drive a Tesla. Well, I can't afford to buy a Tesla.
Right.
Well, you're just gonna have to buy it because, you know, are you gonna pay $5 a gallon in gas? People that we have in America, especially with the young generation now, the millennials, the Gen Z, you know, they're free thinkers. And the way this country is going, we need people that actually have new ideas. We need new generations. We need young leaders now that are coming in. Because the problem is, if we're gonna rely on the old politician or the old way of doing business before, this is not gonna be America that I grew up with.
Right.
And I have kids here, and I want my kids to grow up in the America that I grew up with, like in the 80s, like back in the good old days. Because this is the only country they know. They can't go to Mexico because, you know, they're half Latinos. They cannot go to the Philippines because they don't know that life.
Yeah.
Their life is USA.
Yeah.
This is all they know. And that's what I decided to run for office, because I'm not only doing it for my family, I'm doing it for everybody. And I'm also doing it for our Asian community, because there's a lot of us now here.
Right.
It's like, what, 360,000 now here. And of course, the Pacific Islander as well, there's like, what, 0.9% of them. So they need. It's about time that they can. We need some representation.
Yeah.
I think it's about time. We've
That
been
was
here
gonna
for a
be my
while,
next question.
right?
Was
We've
that
been
you-
here for a while,
Right.
you know, and I believe that it's time for us to have a Asian representative in this
Yeah.
country,
There
because
isn't one.
especially in the
No,
state, because there's
exactly.
none.
Especially in Nevada, no. But let's talk about, being Asian, especially because you're not American born.
Mhm.
So I'm sure that there's a lot of people that would view that, okay, we have an immigrant here who's trying to run, especially for Republican Party as well, because a lot of people don't associate certain minorities for whatever reason
Mhm.
with certain parties. And I know that you had to deal with a lot of adversity, and even back in corporate, I think you had mentioned where you had to deal with some sort of racial kind of situation where you were not able to have a higher position based on being Asian.
Yeah, I
Am
think at that
correct?
time, yeah. Well, they said I was too young at that time.
But I feel like as Asian, you're like, but was it?
You're that sorry for it.
Yeah.
They tell you, I think you're too young. Okay, no,
Right.
I'm not
yeah.
gonna give you the
okay,
promotion.
anyway,
You're too young.
Right. So how do you feel that as an Asian, do you feel like there's a lot of weight on your shoulders? Do you feel that there's more work that you have to do to be a spokesperson for a big community, and no one really feels like? Sometimes we Asians might not feel anyone's on our side, or we stand alone. I feel like a lot of Asians feel that way in America. So how does that impact how?
Well,
You're right.
the beauty about being in America, it doesn't matter if even though we all have different first name, Latino American, Asian American, sometimes Filipino American, Chinese American, Hispanic Americans, we all have the same last name, which is American. And that's the only thing that I always look at, because the Constitution of the United States made it that way with our forefathers, or some people they said their forefathers because we're visitors here, right? Well, it's my forefathers now, because I represent this country. I love this country so much. With the Constitution of the United States gave us that opportunity that even though we're all different, even though we have different first name, we still have the same last name, and that's American. So when people ask me, hey, are you eligible to run for office because you weren't born here? And I tell them, well, you know what? I'm actually an American citizen. I actually more American than Filipino because I grew up here. I do love Filipino food, but
Right, right.
but I grew up here, so I if I go to the Philippines, I don't really relate there because I didn't grow up there, and sometimes I'm even more American than they are because, being Asian American, it's hard for us in school because we really have to work hard. I remember when I was growing up, if you get a B, don't come home. That's my parents told me. So you gotta get all A's.
Yeah.
And if you ask them about the history of the United States, we know more than they do, even though, they were born here. The only difference is all of us came, this country's built with immigrants, unless you're a Native American. They just came earlier, and we came later, right?
Yeah.
What about if it's vice versa? We came earlier, and they came later, so they have the same situation. So I was telling them, America is a land of opportunity. It's a land of immigrant. Some of us came here in plane. Some of us came here in boat. Some of us crossed, right? Some of them came here as a worker. Some of us came here as looking for an opportunity. And back then, some people came here in shackles. But we all in America, and the beauty about this country is everything's possible. A lot of people saying, hey, you're Asian American, you're not gonna go anywhere. Hey, I've seen a lot of Asian that's very successful here. Connie Chung, back in the days, she's the first Asian anchor that I ever seen. That didn't exist, but now look at it. We have a lot of Asians now that actually doing it. Filipinos, we became diversified now, and I really think those people that came as the innovators, because without them, we wouldn't have this opportunity, and that's why I'm running for office, because I want the people know, I would probably say a young Asian kid that says, oh my God, or a young Filipino kid goes like, hey, that guy's gonna be a congressman. I wanna be a congressman someday. Rather than someone telling him, oh, you know what, go to school, study, because you're gonna be a good worker someday. What about a good business owner? Which, they never teach us that,
Right.
This opportunity now is giving us a lot of future for a young generation, because now they can see, hey, that guy looks like me. Maybe I can be a president someday. Absolutely, sky's the limit for you. The Oscar a lot of Asians now that are winning that. Back then we didn't have that.
Yeah,
So
exactly. You're getting the roles. Please.
it's like what I said, like, hey, we're winning beauty pageants, we're winning, I would probably say, best actors, we're winning best music, we're winning it all. Now I think it's time for us to have a representative, and I believe that our community is strong enough that they can send me to Washington DC and I can represent you guys better.
Yes, and so District 1 is where, if you want to tell the audience. where
Absolutely.
District
District 1 is actually, it's downtown Las Vegas all the way south to Seven Hills. I have Inspirada, Boulder City,
1 is.
Sun City, and of course the entire Las Vegas east side,
Okay.
which is, I think the end point, it's Hollywood.
Okay.
So I have the whole Hispanic community. I believe there's a 36% Hispanic population in that district, and we have 10% Asian American in my district, and 10% African American. And what I do is, like, I just talk to them and find out the similarities, just like the way being here in America. And I speak Spanish
Yeah, you
fluently
speak
as well.
Spanish and Tagalog.
And Tagalog,
Yes.
yeah. Like I would tell, I went to an African American event one time, and I told them that, you guys know that we have a lot of similarities. And they're like, Ron, how so? I said, don't you know when Martin Luther King, passed the civil rights? Back then, there's only 120 Filipinos can enter the United States. But when the Civil Rights Act movement got passed, now they're allowed to have 10,000 Filipino that can come into the United States. Those are my grandparents. Those are my parents, So I said, we have a lot of similarities than you think, and that's the beauty about this country, is because I know we have similarities and differences, but at the end of the day, if we can just meet in the middle, I think we're going to be stronger than ever. And I still believe this is the best country in the world. That's why we're here.
Yes, and so being the best country in the world, I think a lot of people view us as the place for opportunity, right? Living the American dream. And as time goes on, like, it's a different America than maybe our parents, grandparents, whatever, moved here and saw. Now, you are not for the open border policy. I know that you believe in immigration to be done the right way. So if you want to elaborate on that, because I think a lot of people kind of be like, okay, well, you're an immigrant, right? You came here, the country's built on immigrants. It's always the argument,
Absolutely.
And why would you not, like, have everyone come? That would be more so the argument that I think a lot of Americans would
And
have.
that's one of the problem right now that we have in Congress, because some of them don't know how the way the immigration policy works. And coming from an immigrant, I think I'm a little bit an expert on that.
Right.
When we came here in the United States, my father was a doctor, my mother was an accountant. We were vetted to come to this country. Of course, background checks and things like that, fingerprints. So when they were doing the interviews, the consulate is interviewing my parents on what contribution they're going to bring in the United States. Oh, you're a doctor? You're an accountant. Awesome. Now, the problem with the open borders is we don't know who's coming in here. We don't know if they have, if they're gonna come here to help this country to move forward, to be better, or they're gonna hold this country to go backwards. That's why I always tell them that once I became a congressman, I would close the border, work on the people that's here now, because I'm pretty sure we have a lot of people, especially the dreamers. I don't know if you heard of that. They came in here when they were a kid. That they didn't know at that time, and then of course the Obama administration gave them a Dreamers Act that they can have a work permit, but right now they're in limbo. They've been here all their life. They probably came here younger than I did, but they're still stuck in the limbo. So maybe if those people are here working hard, following the rules, being a good citizen, maybe we need to give them pathway to citizenship, because they've been here for a while. People that's been in this country for a while, who's working, doing things that the Americans don't want to do.
Right.
They came here, maybe we need to give them opportunities, because if we give them opportunities, maybe they need to start paying taxes. And that taxes now can go back to the economy, rather than not being accounted for. And of course, those people that are actually doing bad, causing problems, we don't need these people, I think those are the people that we need to deport. So that's the things that I want to do. I believe in closing the border, but of course we need to work on the people here now, because at the end of the day, this is still land of opportunity, and we need to be sympathize to people that come in here, because a lot of people rather be in America than anywhere else.
course.
But we just have to do it the right way. We need to have a process. We just cannot just letting them in.
Mm-hmm.
We need to vet these people and see what's going on. What contribution they can give us to make us a better country.
Right, because right now I know there's a huge thing. It's all over the news. You know, we're seeing people cross over from Venezuela and you know
Yeah.
everything like that. But they're shipped to certain cities in buses to just be either on the street, or I know places like New York. I did watch an interview where they're being able to be housed in free hotel rooms, free food, free all this money, and free insurance for one thing. And I know for an American citizen, sometimes getting insurance is probably like the hardest thing for
Oh,
some
yeah,
people, especially
it's
if you're an
very hard.
independent as well.
It's very hard.
So how would you change that? Do you believe that that is the right decision? I know it depends on state and how they're handling the migrants that are going there. And it's a sad thing to see just people on the street as well with kids and children and needing diapers and wanting everything to be kind of given to them when they cross the border. And I know that that's an argument. Some people are like, yes, 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 and some people are like, absolutely not. So how would you kind of navigate?
That's a very good
Yeah.
question. The problem about what's going on right now, we're just letting them in, and we don't have any plan on how the way we're gonna take care of the migrants. So that's why I remember someone asked me, "Hey, Ron, you know what? It's so hard. I was, I'm born in the United States, but I don't have any insurance. But if I just cross the border, I get my insurance. So it's not fair for the people that are actually here. At the end of the day, I'm America first. We need to take care of the people here. Like in my my district, for instance, 18% does not have insurance. 10% have a private insurance, which is Obamacare, and of course some, the VA, Medicare, Medicaid. The problem about those 28% that didn't have insurance, 18% are they're self-employed. They're not qualified to get Medicaid because they're making a little bit of money.
Exactly.
They qualified for Obamacare, but they can't afford to pay $1,100 a month in
Exactly.
insurance. What are we doing with those people that are actually working? Maybe we need to reconstruct a lot of things, bring new ideas. And the problem that's going on right now is I've seen our politician that they just sign off whatever they can sign up because it's election season. So when I became your congressman, if I voted no or if I voted yes, I'm going to make sure that my constituents know why, what's the reason why. Because at the end of the day, they're my boss. I haven't worked for anybody else for the last 20 years, and now I'm going to have, 760,000 people that lives in my district, which is 760,000 bosses, that I need to explain to them, hey, I voted this way because this is what's best for the country. Unfortunately, you cannot please everybody because, this is a democracy.
Right, of course.
Of course, if I voted for something that it might be good for 55% of the population, but it might be bad for the 45% population, at the end of the day, that's what our democracy, we need to do it en masse. And my job that I promise to all my constituents is I'm gonna give them transparency. That I'm gonna tell them why did I voted for this matter? Why do I believe in that matter? They may disagree with me, or they might agree with me. They might hate me for it, but at the end of the day, I'm doing what's best for all of us, because it's not just me.
Right.
It has to be us.
It has to, yes. So do you feel, America, I think, after the past couple presidencies, has become really aggressive in terms of politics? We see a lot of people being very vocal in terms of their views, maybe even more unhinged and transparent, when I use that word, with how they view how society should be run, but not politics aside, very gung-ho. How do you feel about the division that is in America right now? Do you think it's, going in the right direction, wrong direction, and how do you want to heal, have a part in healing America to come together again? Have the differences, but also come together as well.
That's why I decided to run as a nonpartisan, because when I was in those parties, the only thing they talk about is how to oppose the other party. But the problem is, in my district, or in Nevada, we have I would probably say 55% of our population are registered nonpartisan. Means that they're already tired about the Republican Party and they're tired about the Democratic Party. Like, when are they gonna get in the aisle?
Right.
So that's so we can get things done,
Get things
because
done, right.
they would pass a bill that Republicans don't like it. The The Democrat likes it. Okay, who has the votes? Oh, we're majority. Guess what? We're gonna pass that bill. The problem with that is we are not meeting across the aisle. We're just doing one side or another. And when I was looking at that, I decided, and I'm a long time Republican. You know, I'm part of the Republican Party since when I was 18 years old. I'm not gonna tell you how old I am, but I asked myself, I'm like, well, how am I gonna get things done? Because let's say I'm a new elected congressman,
Right.
and I want to vote for this for the benefit of my constituents. The Speaker of the House tells me, Ron Quince, you're not gonna vote for that because you know that's just not a policy they want to pass.
Yeah.
So how am I gonna face the people
Yeah.
when I go back to my district? I didn't vote for it because you know, apparently you guys are not my boss. I have another boss
Right,
I need
right.
to deal with. Running as a non-partisan is very, very difficult because now instead of me just focusing on one party, I have to focus with the both parties. And believe me,
Yeah.
they don't like me.
Exactly.
You know, but I also
Right.
believe that, like what you said, I'm an innovator. I like new challenges. This thing's never been done before. And hopefully the next interview next year we'll be talking
That's
about
so
and laughing
exciting.
about this.
Yeah, 'cause you would
maybe
in
maybe
Washington,
the first
D.C.
the first non-partisan congressman
Right.
or the first Filipino congressman
Yeah,
that's going to be elected
absolutely.
in Nevada,
Absolutely.
and it'll be maybe a different. Maybe I can play the guitar.
Oh yeah, I know he'll come with new tricks because now he, you know. But that was you're leaning into my next question. I was going to ask you, how are you going to deal with the pressure? You know, you get the seat, you're going to go out to Washington D.C., you're going to meet all these people, and I'm sure there it's going to be like.
No, they
You know.
already asked me that questions like, you know, how do you manage
That's a
all my
lot of
businesses?
stress. Like I
How do you
can't.
you know, because at the end of the day, at night or when I get home or in the weekends, I'm still a dad. You know, my girls, I give them breakfast and things like
Right, of
that.
course.
And, you know, and I'm still a dad at the end of the day. And of course, running for office, running businesses, talking to my
Right.
partners and things like that, going to school.
Mhm.
It feels like I think I'm built for this because I've been trained to do this. It's always, I remember thinking of retiring. One of my business partners here today, when I told him that I'm gonna run for office, and it's kind of like, are you
Right,
okay?
of course.
You know, because I'm okay enough to retire. But the thing
Mhm.
is, I believe that my calling is running for office because it's time for me to help this country, pay back that this country has given me so much.
Mhm.
They didn't just hand it to me,
Of course.
but giving me the opportunity to try for that is matters the most.
Mhm.
And I'm paying it back.
Yeah.
Too old to join the military, but maybe when I became a congressman, I can pay back this country, and you know we can put it in the right direction.
Yeah. So I don't want you to become congressman and deal with all the other people of Congress and out there, and then you
No,
come
they
back
see
with
me.
wrinkles. And then you're like, they always
The
say
good
like
thing
about
about
different
it,
white hair.
the good thing about it, we're Asian, and you know what?
That's what to say.
We
But
never-
let's not let them ruin it, though.
we
please.
never age, you know.
Let's not have the parties ruin Ron. Please, no. Let him come back
Believe
smiling.
me, it's still
so.
gonna be the same. When I come back, and I would probably say 40 years from now, you know, it's still gonna be the same.
Yeah, I'm about to say, as long as you keep the smile, you're not like they ruined me, like the stress. But I have so much faith in you, and thank you so much.
Well,
for
thank
spending
you for
the time
having
here.
me.
I do ask this one last question to every guest that I do
Mm-hmm.
have, because it kind of sums up them as a person. I do think it's important for people, especially people watching or
Mhm.
you know in Nevada, to know you more so than just because they're gonna view you like, oh, he's a politician, or speaking, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. But I feel the importance of them knowing your true intentions, you, how you're brought up, really lets people know I relate, right? You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? So the question is there a philosophy that you live by?
Well, absolutely. The reason that I'm running for office is because I'm running. When people ask me why do you decide to run for office, and they laugh when I tell them I'm running for you, and they're like, for me, yeah, absolutely. Because do you like the America that you're living in right now? I woke up one day and I told myself, is this the country that my children's gonna grow up, or my great grandchildren's gonna grow up? The America that everybody loves. So I'm doing this not because I have to. I'm doing this because I want to. It's time for me to serve the people of District 1 and of course the whole United States, and give them an opportunity that American dream is still alive. I'm a true proven fact of living the American dream. You know, even people, they're like, oh, Ron, the American dream you guys talking about, that's dead. No, it's not dead. I'm the perfect example. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people out there who's a perfect example. And I want to encourage those people that, you know what, hey, talk to someone, talk to the young generation, because they are eventually going to be the future of this country. And the reason I'm running, I can't say I'm not a career politician, because apparently when you decide to run for office, you're already a career politician. But I'm doing this not for me, not for Ron Q name or anything like
ego,
that.
basically. Yeah.
You guys already know that. Ron Q's been existing, for a while. I'm doing this because it's time for us to have a good representation. I'm not getting funded by big corporation. I'm using my own money, and some of the people that believe in me put little donation because they believe that I can make a change in this country. And those are the things that I tell everybody. I'm here for you. That's why my website, I have two websites. One's ronqforyou.com and one's squinsfornevada.com. I'm running because I believe in America. We gotta stop voting for those politicians that's not making any difference in our life. I ask humbly for your vote this coming election, which is November 5th. If you have any questions about me, visit my website, like what I mentioned before, or you can follow me on Facebook and help me get elected so we can fix things.
Yes, please. And one last thing, you do not want to relocate to Washington, D.C., right? You want to stay living in Nevada and continue getting to know the people and being aware, correct?
Absolutely, because
Okay.
what happens, like when I went to Washington, D.C., and I asked some politicians who've been there for a while, they told me that, Ron, you know what, you only come here probably 3 or 4 times, like every 2 weeks, just to vote for a new bill. But what happened, the problem in Washington is they get so busy about getting reelected, so now they're talking to the lobbyists so they can get more money to get reelected. No, I told them, I'm going to come to Washington. I don't know if I have to live in a closet. Stay there, vote, and then whatever I voted, whatever information I gather, I'm going to come back, have a town hall meeting here, have a radio or TV interview, and discuss what's going on in this country and what I have voted and where we at now. Transparency is the key, because I think that's what the people are lacking. They're like really like thirsty for that, because right now it's just a matter of bickering, who's red, who's blue, are you left, are you right? People are tired of that.
TikTok, no TikTok,
No
right?
TikTok, no TikTok.
TikTok, no TikTok.
Do we have,
Yeah.
we're concerned about Russia, we're concerned about China, we're concerned about Iran. A lot of things are going on right now, and we need politicians, new elected congressmen, new elected people that has the energy to do that. Because I've seen Congress, and I've seen some of them are sleeping, and then they just poke them with their with their paper to vote.
You're like, oh, okay, what are we doing?
What are we,
Right.
what are you voting for? No, like I'm always been a student of policies, politics, and history, and I believe that I'm gonna make a big difference there, because I'm gonna be that nerd that actually gonna be reading every single
Yeah.
bill and question them. And the beauty about it, I'm running as a nonpartisan, so there's no Republican or Democrat bosses that will tell me what to do, because I tell them no.
Exactly.
My
You're gonna be
boss
like, oh,
are
here
the-
he comes again.
Yeah, my
Reading.
boss are the people. Yeah, my
Right.
boss is the people of District 1, and of course the people of Nevada. And I believe a lot of people are gonna hate me there. And they said they're not gonna give me a. I went there and they told me that, Ron, when you get elected, I think what they're gonna do is they're not gonna even give you a pass to ride the elevator.
Oh.
And I'm like, why? Oh, usually they do that with the rookies. You have to take the stairs. I've been practicing, so because every time I go to my office, I've been going on the stairs. I'm not taking the elevator.
So you get there, you look direction, they're like, oh god, there he is, just sit in the back. Right.
They said, oh no, you're gonna be like, oh, and I think someone told me, oh Ron, you know what? If you're first time elected, they said they usually don't get your office ready for like 3 months. So you're technically going to be working by yourself, answering the phones. Yeah, and I already know that. And the thing is, you know what I told them? Nothing new. I've done that before.
Yeah.
This is just
Hard
like
working
kind of like,
Asian,
yeah,
see?
this is nothing and nothing I haven't done before.
Yeah.
The only difference is, now I'm back as being in mailroom again, like when I was started. You know, I remember when starting my business, putting business card in people's car. I've done that before, so this is nothing new to me, and I'm up for the challenge, and I think I have enough energy to do that.
Right. Well, thank you so much for spending
Well, thank
time
you for
talking
having
a little
me.
bit about yourself and your politics and what you plan to do for all of us in Nevada and just the people, United States, and continuing to push this country into a better direction and continuing being the America that you want it to be.
Well, and thank you for
Great.
having me here.
Of
It's been a blast.
And I want you back, and hopefully next time you're back,
Absolutely.
you can come with new tales of your answering your phones and the stairs, how many stairs, flights you had to go up. You can bring up those stories.
I heard it was 29. I heard it was 29 floors, and they were like, oh, "Okay, nah, they're not gonna give you a pass." I'm like, "What?"
Oh no. Well, hopefully, I wish you the best. Everyone, again, please visit his websites that he has prior mentioned so you can learn more about him and what he is campaigning and what he stands for. And I really hope that this interview really brought you some new insight on who Ron Q is and why he is running and what his goal is in making America the America that he wants it to be. So everyone, a round of applause for Ron.
Woo, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Woo.
And then when we come back from the break, I'm not done talking, but we just want to thank Ron again. Thank you so much. So make sure you don't go anywhere.
Traditional TV is going away. Hollywood is starting to fade. People are demanding real stories from real people. Our voices are now being heard in our own way. Podcasts, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok Live are becoming the norm. Internet TV has now reached the highest demand in human history. Social media shows is now the new media of the century. Traditional TV is going away. Hollywood is starting to fade. People are demanding real stories from real people. Our voices are now being heard in our own way. Podcasts, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok Live are becoming the norm. Internet TV has now reached the highest demand in human history. Social media shows is now the new media of the century. Traditional TV is going away. Hollywood is starting to fade. People are demanding real stories from real people. Our voices are now being heard in our own way. Podcasts, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok Live are becoming the norm. Internet TV has now reached the highest demand in human history. Social media shows is now the new media of the century. Traditional TV is going away. Hollywood is starting to fade. People are demanding real stories from real people. Our voices are now being heard in our own way. Podcasts, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok Live are becoming the norm. Internet TV has now reached the highest demand in human history. Social media shows is now the new media of the century. Traditional TV is going away. Hollywood is starting to fade. People are demanding real stories from real people. Our voices are now being heard in our own way. Podcasts, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok Live are becoming the norm. Internet TV has now reached the highest demand in human.
Hi guys, and welcome back to The Hot Seat. I am your host Priscilla Moy, and I just want to thank you guys so much for watching. I hope today's episode was legendary for you. I think for me, every week it's just becoming more and more challenging, thanks to Maria, but also thanks to you guys, because with you guys giving us the views, the comments, sharing, and all your support is broadening our reach here at social media shows and the hot seat in general. A lot of people are more inclined to come and want to be on the hot seat, especially people at that caliber. I mean, I would never think that I would have politicians on the show, because also politics are not my strong suit, but now I guess it is, thanks to Maria. I had to do a lot, back to the books, back to studying, but I really need to thank all of you guys, because the challenges of having new people on here, people that have a lot to bring to the table and want to mask a lot of change here in the amazing city of Las Vegas, having them on here and being a part of their journey and just knowing them and connecting with them is a huge thing for me. So without the support from you guys, we wouldn't be able to have this kind of reach where people can trust us and think that we're legit, even though we are. But you know, a lot of people are just like, are you, right? How many views do you have, you know? So thank you guys so much for everything that you're doing, and thank you again for just liking the show, even if you don't like me, liking our guests, and then truly spreading the word about social media shows. Because not only do we have my show, we have other shows as well, and we also are doing red carpet events. That's a main thing that I want to talk about today. We do have one coming up next week, but I do want to push towards all of you that are filmmakers, people that have grand openings, film festivals, award shows, music shows, whatever it may be, that you want a red carpet for, that will stream live in real time, so you don't have to wait for the video to be edited and then handed to you a month later. You can get it in real time, true advertisement, and you can have me as a host for your red carpet event. Please, 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 if you're interested in this, please inquire at admin@socialmediashows.com, and we will get back to you on all the information in regards to logistics, pricing, what we offer, and what all those details have. So make sure to do that. We also do shows, so it does not have to be a movie premiere, right? If you have a fashion show, if you have a fashion event, if you have a business event, if you have a convention and you just want the backdrop, you want people there, you want people advertising, you want people to be seen, we can interview you, we can interview all your guests, we can get them the exposure that they're looking for along with your company or whatever you're advertising. So it's a really, really, really big thing that we are pushing here at Social Media Shows. We do have experience in it, so this isn't new. We do have them, but we really want to get it known, because a lot of people might not know that we do those. And not a lot of people that I know, if not anyone, in Las Vegas does it, and does it to the point where it's going to be done well. So make sure to inquire about those, and please just think about us in regards to the future. And also, if you want to be on the hot seat, you want to sit here just like Ron Q, a congressman, sitting here. If you want to sit in the same seat that he sat in, please email your headshot and your bio to admin@socialmediashows.com, and you could be considered. Please know that this is a casting per email. It's not a guarantee spot. It's not a, you know, oh, I submitted, you wanted me, when am I going to be on? It's very much, you're going to be communicating with Maria, the executive producer, and if we are interested in you and we believe that you are worthy of sitting in the hot seat, we will schedule you in, and they are scheduled ahead of time. When we do say in the email, or if I do contact you via social media, for example, and I state that it happens on Wednesdays, I'm not looking for the next Wednesday. Right? So don't worry about, oh, I can't, I'm busy next week, I can't, I'm busy this whole month. We can get that scheduled in when it works for you, okay? So don't worry about that. We are professional here. We're not a at-home, sit-at-home, hey, I need someone next week, hurry, who's available type people, okay? We get this done professionally. We have people, Congress, right, assemblymen, you know, we got all these people sitting here. So we are professional, and we are qualified, and we do have those credentials. So don't worry about it. Relax. And if we don't get back to you ASAP, in your mind ASAP, please be patient. The emails are going like this 24/7 because everyone wants to be on my show, which amazing. But please be patient with us. If you don't hear back from us within like a month or so, please just email us again. Give us a little time, but please just know that it's not just you. There's tons of people. Okay, everyone wants their turn. Okay, but anyway, thank you again so much for watching The Hot Seat and supporting us. The more you support us, the more reach we'll have, the more high quality people we'll have on the show, and the more we get better and the more we learn. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you next week.